Hello, BookTube. I'm in need of a distraction, and what better way to distract myself on a Tuesday than doing a book tag for Tag Tuesday? This is the M tag, the 13th in the continuing alphabet series of book tags created by Jim of Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. And I need a distraction today because of a very M problem: the mail. I buy my books online exclusively. And I can go into why I don't shop for physical books in physical bookstores, but suffice it to say, I buy all of my books online and they're mailed to me. And I track these packages obsessively. And I have a package that was supposed to have been delivered today, although, to be fair, it should have been delivered on Saturday because. So, basically, it went straight through the U.S. mail system, this package. And it was. The expected delivery is for today. But the package went through the USPS system faster than anticipated, I guess, and it actually arrived at the Waco post office on Saturday and had departed with enough time to get to my local post office and be sorted and be out for delivery for me to get it on Saturday. But it didn't, and so it just, I don't know what happened to it. And then on Sunday it had the in transit arriving on time, and now it's the in transit arriving late, and I'm like, where is this dang package? So when this happens to me, and it's not infrequent, given how often I do get book packages in the mail, that this happens. And so I basically become a neurotic mess until my package arrives. So that's pretty much the state I'm in. So I need a pick-me-up, and hopefully this tag will be that pick-me-up. So let's get started. M is for Manchester and many other cities, of which at the end of the prompt list he lists Milan, Munich, Madrid, Moscow, Mumbai, Medellin, Mexico City, Manila, Minneapolis, Miami, Managua, Mombasa, Mogadishu, Montevideo, Montreal, Melbourne, Monrovia, so on and so forth. So, what is your favorite book set in a city beginning with M? Initially, when I read this prompt, I racked my brains. I don't think I have any books. I don't know if I've ever actually read any books set in Manchester. So I was racking my brains to try to figure out, or my brain, to figure out a city. And then it kind of hit me, well, Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard. It's set in Miami. Rum Punch is basically about a flight attendant named Jackie Brown who smuggles in money from Jamaica during her flights for a gun runner named, I think his name's Odell or something. It's been a while since I've read it. And she's arrested, and I think because the police who are investigating her boss plant drugs on her to force her to cooperate. And so then she enters into this sort of multi-pronged scheme to not only get herself off of the charges that she's threatened with, but also screw her employer out of his retirement savings. And it is a blast to read. I actually really enjoyed the book, and also the movie. It's Jackie Brown, starring Pam Grier, which is a fantastic movie too. So, yeah. And then I was thinking, well, what about fictional cities? And then it kind of hit me, well, Magnolia. In Fairy Tale, the Fairy Tale Guild is located in the city of Magnolia. And quite a few arcs are set in or around Magnolia, so I'm like, that could work too. So we'll go with Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard and Fairy Tale by Hiro Mishima. Next prompt. M is for murder mystery. Is there a better murder mystery than Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None? No. Except for maybe Murder on the Orient Express. Or The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. I think those two could give And Then There Were None a run for its money. But I would say And Then There Were None is her best book. And probably one of the greatest detective novels of all time. So I would say no. So, And Then There Were None, if you don't know the quick plot synopsis, a number of 10 people are invited to this island. They don't know why, but they are, after all of them arrive, they are cut off from the outside world and slowly picked off one by one until all of them are dead. So it is a really good mystery. Next prompt. M is for magic realism or magical realism. What is the first book you've read in the genre of magical realism? That I've actually completed? None. I want to say it was either like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. Because I remember having tried that, although I'm not entirely sure exactly what's magical realistic about it. And I know for sure I've tried 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which I didn't particularly care for all that much. Of course, keeping in mind that as much as I've had some issues with fiction the past year or so, I've had trouble with literary fiction for significantly longer. So, anyway, although personally, since fantasy is one half of my favorite genre of fiction, I just rather read a fantasy. The whole ambiguous sort of, is it magic? Is it just weird meta fiction stuff? I prefer the fantasy. Next prompt. M is for maps. What is your favorite map? I would go with, sticking with fantasy, there's a fan-generated map of, or two fan-generated maps of Boss Log, the secondary world created by China Mieville for his trilogy of novels, starting with Perdido Street Station and continuing with The Scar and Iron Council. Boss Log is one of my favorite settings, and I really love the two maps that I've seen generated from that series. M is for Mississippi. What is your favorite story set on the Mississippi? Well, I actually just finished a reread of my favorite book set on the Mississippi, or should I say in the Mississippi, and that is The City of Lost Fortunes by Brian Camp. It is a contemporary fantasy novel set in New Orleans 6 years after Hurricane Katrina, and it features a demigod sorcerer named Jude Dubuisson, who is trying to hide himself away from the world after his power to find lost things goes haywire. But he is drawn back into the New Orleans magical community when he is invited to play a game of fortunes against the luck god of New Orleans and other trickster gods, and an angel and a vampire. And fortunes is basically poker with tarot cards. And after the game, or after Jude flees the game, he discovers the next day that the fortune god of New Orleans, or luck god of New Orleans, has been murdered, and he is one of the suspects, and he has to find out who killed the fortune god and who and to save New Orleans from existence worse than death. It is a phenomenal book. I love it, and obviously it takes place near the Mississippi because Mississippi runs through New Orleans, but it also takes place in the Mississippi, and that's a spoiler, so I'll let you read it and find out exactly how the novel takes place in part in the Mississippi. M is for Muslim. What is the last book you read with a Muslim protagonist? As far as fiction goes, I don't really remember. There's a probability that it could actually be, the one that's coming to mind is Midak Ali by Naguib Mahfouz, but that was like eons ago, and so I've got to have read something else with a Muslim protagonist before then, or after, like more recently, but it's just not coming to mind. But I have read some history lately that deals with the Middle East and the Muslim world. So the last book I read with, even though it's nonfiction, that could count, would be The End of the Fall of the Ottomans by Eugene Rogan, which is the story of the Ottoman Empire and World War I, and the empire's eventual collapse and transformation into modern Turkey. So we'll go with The Fall of the Ottomans, although I will also reference Midak Ali too in the show notes, or the books mentioned section. M is for Mars. What is your favorite book about Mars or about Martians? So I've never read a science book about Mars, and I don't think the little bit that I remember being said on Mars would really argue for Radiance by Catherine Valenti to be included, although I will mention it, because there's one of the characters has a ranch on Mars. So in the world of Radiance, basically every planet in the solar system is in some way, shape, or form habitable, including the moon, which is where Hollywood has essentially become. The moon is basically this reality's Hollywood. And it's a brilliant book. I love it. But the little tiny bit of the novel set on Mars, I don't think really counts. So I was racking my brains to try to figure an answer for this prompt. And then it hit me. The Vaults of Yovombis by Clark Ashton Smith. It's not a novel, it's a short story. It's basically It's in a setting in which Mars, obviously, because this was written decades before we knew much of anything about Mars. So, in this setting, Mars is a bit of a desert planet, a bit cold desert planet. It's had previous civilization of which human colonists are investigating, and a group of human scientists and archaeologists have come to this ruined city to investigate it. And while they're there, they discover horror, basically brain leeches that drive them mad. And it's a very enjoyable story. I quite enjoy it. The times I've read it. So I'll go with the Volts of Yolvombis for this prompt. Next prompt. M is must. It's for must read. What is a book you feel you must read? I don't know necessarily if there is any books I feel that are must reads. Although that said, if you follow my channel for any length of time, you will know, or you will catch that I do have a hard time with fiction, and general fiction or literary fiction, or however you want to call it, just define. When people talk about fiction, they talk about that particular genre. I have a hard time reading it. I have struggled even before BookTube. Even though there was a period when I was younger in college that I did enjoy fiction, you could call it general fiction or literary fiction, but it's really, I've never, subsequently, and in a way, even during my college years, I've always had a fraught relationship with literary fiction. Let's just go with that. And while I do have a propensity to bail when I'm not pleased with those books, or they're not doing anything for me, or I'm bored with them, or whatever. But there is a feeling that I need to read them, that I must read them, even if they don't really please me. So there's that bit of a long-winded answer. But I'm also thinking of but I think I'll go with that for this answer instead of like a specific book. Although I am hoping to get to The Maleficent 7 by Cameron Johnston, which came out today, that I'm planning on buying tomorrow. Because, another pick-me-up is I'm probably going to go order some more books tomorrow. I have a problem. Anyway, I think that one, and pretty much a lot of the books I bring in, I want to read them. So, that was a bit of a weird answer. Anyway, next prompt. M is for Margaret. What is your favorite book by Margaret Atwood? Okay. So, the only novel by Margaret Atwood that I can stand is The Robber Bride. It came out in the late 80s or very early 90s. It's about a group of friends who every decade or so are plagued by this woman who they knew in college, and every time she appears in their lives, she targets one of these women's partner or husband or boyfriend, and during her time in their lives, she pretty much ruins their lives and the lives of their husband, boyfriend, partner. just ruins it. And she makes one last appearance after her supposed death to plague them once again. And that is really the only Atwood novel I actually like. I've tried Cat's Eye, never got into it. I've tried The Blind Assassin, never got into it. The Handmaid's Tale, if it weren't for the fact that it was a library book, I would have thrown it across the room, because it's... Yeah. Margaret Atwood's not necessarily a very good science fiction writer, or at least for The Handmaid's Tale. No. Anyway. So, final prompt. M is for Margaret Pinard. Have you read any of Margaret Pinard's books? No, I did not know she was an author. We are talking about the Margaret Pinard who is on BookTube, right? I didn't know she wrote. So, no, I haven't. So, anyway, yes, so this tag did definitely improve my spirits. So, thank you, Jim. If you would love to do this tag, or like to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged. And I will be back tomorrow with either a prompt or my history challenge TBR, which I'm going to start a day early. So I will start it on Saturday, because I've got to, because my reading week has been a bit upended, although I did bail on the book I read after The City of Lost Fortunes, which I will rant about on Friday. So I think I'm going to do some manga, another M, today and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And I will do another tag probably before weekly reads on Friday. But anyway, BookTube, I have other things I need to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So until I see you again, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.